Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody. Happy Bitcoin Pizza Day and happy Bitcoin all-time high day. It's great to see so many of you on the stream already, and what a day to be having this kind of video content. My name is Jessica from the Binance Studios, and for those of you that are watching wherever you are joining from across the world or watching at home, I do want to give you the warmest welcome to today's big celebrations. So if you're wondering why we're so excited about pizza and crypto, it's because today marks a really monumental day and the anniversary of the first real world Bitcoin transaction. And today, Bitcoin Pizza Day has really become a global symbol for just how far we've come on a circular crypto economy. And at Binance, we're really proud to play a part in that journey, from supporting real-world adoption through Binance Pay and collecting global communities of the millions. And today, the show is all about a celebration of the market, about how far we've come, and also giving some information and updates on adoption of the market. So we have a fantastic lineup for you today. We'll kick things off with a message from our CEO, Richard Tang, who is joining on the line. We also have Guy from CoinBureau, the biggest crypto YouTube channel, to share his insights on the market. And then after that, we'll have our very own Chief Marketing Officer, Rachel Conlan, join us to share some insights and messages for you all. There is also a giveaway. So this is also a chance for us to thank and reward you guys, our community. So this is your chance also to win a share of 1,000 USDC. We're opening up the interviews to Q&A, and the best questions selected for both Guy from CoinBureau and Rachel will win a piece of the prize pool. So in the description, there'll be the B survey for you to follow, and all you can do is kind of follow the application and the form, and then also subscribe to the channel. And good luck. We look forward to seeing how it goes. We'll be talking you through it as we do go along. Thank you so much to everyone that is joining. I'm now going to hand the stage over to our very own CEO, Richard Tang, who's got a lovely Bitcoin Pizza Day welcome for you all. So Richard, thanks for joining us on the stream.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Binance Global Celebration of Bitcoin Pizza Day. It's a pleasure to have you here, and whether you're joining us online or at in-person meetups around the world with a slice in hand. May 22nd marks a moment that changed everything, the first real-world Bitcoin transaction. In 2010, Lazio Hanyards paid 10,000 BTC for 2 pizzas and made history. What started as a humble, hopefully yet delicious meal became a symbol of innovation, belief, and bold beginnings. Fast forward to today, Bitcoin is the 5th largest asset globally by market capitalization. Binance has over 270 million users, and countries around the world are adopting and incorporating Bitcoin and cryptocurrency strategies into their own reserves. At Binance, we honor the day not just with pizza, but with a variety of fun activities meant to remind us all that crypto is meant to be used, lived, and shared. From giveaways to pop-ups, over the years, we have turned Bitcoin Pizza Day into a tradition. And each year, our community shows up stronger, more united, and more inspired. Today, we celebrate the builders, the believers, the early adopters who sparked a movement. And we look forward with the same spirit, curiosity, fearlessness, and hungry for what's going to come next. On behalf of everyone at Binance, thank you for being part of this journey. Enjoy the celebrations, and happy Bitcoin Pizza Day.
Amazing. A huge thank you to Richard there, who I think is somewhere in Europe enjoying a very good slice of pizza. Happy Bitcoin Pizza Day to him. We also have a Binance Angel who has sent in why Pizza Day is so special for her. So we're going to quickly shout out to Alom Yawa, who has sent over this fantastic video testimony. So let's take a little bit of a look at why she loves Bitcoin Pizza Day so much.
Hey guys, so as you can see, I'm taking my family out today, and there's a twist to it. I'm paying for everything with crypto directly. No card, no cash, fully crypto. Now let me take you through how I pay for my pizza and ice cream with crypto. Imagine a world where you can actually buy pizza with crypto. Yay! You heard me right. That's what Laszlo Hanyards did on 22nd May 2010. He exchanged 10,000 bitcoins for 2 pizzas. You heard me right. 10,000 bitcoins. Today, those 2 pizzas will be worth a whooping $1 billion. And that's why I love crypto, because it gives you control over your money, And borders don't limit you. Bitcoin Pizza Day is a very beautiful reminder of the freedom that we have to earn and spend our own crypto. Of course, aside eating pizzas and ice cream, that we have the power to earn crypto and spend our crypto the way we want. That's why I love Bitcoin Pizza Day.
There we go. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much to her. And we also have some other angel testimonies coming very soon. It's now time to welcome an industry friend and our first guest to the stage. Guy from CoinBureau, how are you doing? Happy Bitcoin Pizza Day. Happy all-time high day. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Jess. I'm very well. Yeah, even better for that sort of double whammy of good news, pizza and all-time high. I mean, they just go together so well, don't they?
They do. I think it was just the perfect bringing together synopsis, and also a great time for a Q&A. So for everyone that is watching now that may be familiar with Guy from CoinBureau, do make sure to use this time to ask him some questions. Before we do, I'm going to use this opportunity to pick your brains a little bit, because what a historic day. We have the early experimental days of Bitcoin Pizza Day and what it stands for, and now the global attention of where crypto has come today. All-time high, surpassing 110,000 US, which is just remarkable. And I know that you have been making content in crypto for many years now. And I'm curious to hear from you, because you probably get asked this all the time. How would you describe Bitcoin's journey from when you started and when Bitcoin started to where we are today?
Yeah, it's been, I guess, I mean, the word that most readily springs to mind is volatile. Because it's been a wild ride, and I think it will continue to be for quite a long time. And I guess in a way that's part of the fun. There's kind of never really a dull day when it comes to Bitcoin. But if you put sort of price action to the side for a minute, because obviously that's such a big focus for so many people, and it is a very important part of what Bitcoin means to people. But I think if you just look at the journey that it's been on from this obscure cypherpunk idea that has gone on to become, thanks to the efforts of people like Laszlo, it's gone on from this idea to become something that Satoshi brought into being, and then was helped along the way. People like Laszlo Hanyecz, people like Marty Malmi, who collaborated with Satoshi really early on. People like Gavin Andresen, who sort of faded into the background a bit, was a huge contributor to Bitcoin in its early days. And it's kind of hard to get away from the similarity that it almost has to a religion, isn't it? Because it has this sort of semi-mythical founder. It has these early acolytes and disciples who helped spread the word. It even has a feast day, which we're celebrating today. And it's become now as much as an asset class and a part of the financial landscape the world over, but it's also become a way of life for a lot of people. And as we saw in that great video you shared from the Binance Angel, it has changed lives, and not just because it's made people a lot of money, but it has democratized the financial system to a large extent. And I think it's only really getting started in that. So it's kind of wild to think that it's only sort of 16 years now since it started, because so much has happened in that 16 years. But when you consider what is kind of lies ahead, it's a really exciting future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think outside of Bitcoin as well, we have to acknowledge that although this is a testimony homage to Bitcoin adoption, the market now, we have thousands of cryptocurrencies and digital assets, and the use case for those is expanding beyond RWA, DePIN, all of these emerging trends that are coming through that are integrating with real world life as we're seeing it. So we have some questions that are coming through regarding Bitcoin adoption. So before we get into that, I would love to just ask you your outlook on, we've clearly got renewed market momentum at the moment, which does come with renewed mainstream interest. So what's your outlook on the market right now on an all-time high day? What an honor to get to ask you this question. And are there any kind of key trends or shifts that you're keeping a close eye on?
Yeah, I mean, I think for one thing, Bitcoin is okay, it's at an all-time high, but it's just continuing to do what it's been doing. And I think it's really important to underline that. All the excitement around it, all the excitement around its price action, around the multinational companies that are buying it in bulk, and all the talk around it. This is a protocol that continues to function as it was designed to do, and I think that is so important. I mean, today, we've seen one of the dexes on Sui, one of the major L1s, get hacked. Unfortunately, hacks and exploits and failures really are a big part of the crypto landscape at the moment. And I think today is as good a day as ever to remind ourselves that Bitcoin is the original and best, and it just keeps chugging along. And that almost makes it sound dull, but that's so important, and that's so fundamental to Bitcoin as an asset, and as a network. And that should never be forgotten, because it's an extraordinary achievement when you consider the value that's at stake, when you consider how long the network has been doing its thing for. I think it's an easy thing to forget, but I think it's a wonderful thing. So we should celebrate that as much as anything else, that Bitcoin just keeps doing what it was designed to do. If we look at the sort of wider markets, yes, as you say, there are altcoins still popping up left and right. There are some with what look like to be really solid fundamentals that could continue doing well, like BTC. I've got to say, I think most altcoins eventually are going to fall by the wayside, because I think there's so much competition in that space. There's always going to be new stuff coming out. There's always going to be new iterations of these protocols, of these projects, and that is going to be tough. That is going to be a tough landscape for investors to ride out. And look, we've seen this recently. This is very much Bitcoin in the spotlight at the moment. Not just because of Pizza Day, but because it's the only one that is really breaking all-time highs. And most altcoins are probably going to continue to struggle for a bit. So that's, I think, something to bear in mind as well. If you talk about things that I'm sort of key trends and shifts that I'm keeping a lookout for, I think it's really interesting, this stablecoin legislation that we're seeing making its way through the US Congress at the moment. It looks like the Genius Act is getting closer and closer to being passed. I don't want to jump the gun on that, but it looks like we're getting close there. And I think that is going to open up some really fascinating use cases for stable coins and kind of related innovations to that. And I think in terms of things like being able to, not just being able to transact across borders with stable coins like we already can, but things like yield on savings as well. I think that is something that so many investors want, and I think that's going to be a really important product to people in this rapidly kind of changing job market. I think people are going to be wanting to be able to earn a yield on the savings that they've put aside, and I think stablecoin innovation can let that happen. So I'm really interested to see how that goes. And the other sector that really interests me as well is AI agents. I've talked a bit about this before, but I think we're going to see some fascinating developments with that. And hey, I don't think we're too far from a future where you might have AI agents managing your money, managing those savings to maybe earn you yield or make you extra cash on the side. So I really think I think we're poised to see an explosion of innovation, and that's going to be made possible by a better regulatory environment in the US, which is going to spread across the world, I think.
Absolutely. And I have to say that I remember when I joined CoinBureau, I think it was 2 summers ago, and we were having our weekly live stream and our news rundown and seeing what was happening in the markets. And it feels like this summer, you guys are not going to be able to take a break. You're not going to be able to be away from your laptop for too long, because it seems like so much positive news is coming out from the US, but also globally as well when it comes to advancements in the space, which we can't complain, but it does mean you probably are going to be very busy, as is most of us here in the crypto space. Okay, fantastic. I'm going to hand over now to some of our audience questions and pull those on. So a huge thank you to everyone that has sent some over. So we have this question here from Online Educo Pro, and he's asking you guys, so what are the most important lessons the crypto community can learn from the first Bitcoin pizza transaction? Which is quite a nice one. What has it said for the wider adoption, and what lessons can we as a community take moving forward?
I think the lesson that always stands out to me, and I think I touched on this earlier, was just how important the contributions of select individuals were to Bitcoin's history. I'm sure Laszlo Hanyecz is really sick of hearing about how he spent $1 billion on 2 pizzas or anything like that. But let's be frank. I really believe that history hinges often on very small events, and I think this was one such event like that. It took someone to go, to make the leap and go, I'm not just going to accumulate these things, I'm going to try and spend them. And it wasn't the most straightforward process. He had to get on the Bitcoin Talk forum and find someone to do it, find someone to order the pizzas for him who's prepared to accept these BTC. But he made it happen, and I think it just underlines how small actions by individual people can have consequences that ripple out through time. And I think Laszlo should be given a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a common misconception that people think it was an immediate kind of peer-to-peer transaction that happened instantaneously, almost like on Deliveroo today. But I think it was over around a week that it took for this whole process to be carried out, for someone to pay on his behalf. It wasn't an immediate kind of in the same 24-hour rollover. So he was really advocating and really proving a point that this was supposed to be used in a circular economy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what next questions we have. So we have a question which is, what are the current limitations preventing Bitcoin from becoming a mainstream payment method, and how can they be overcome? And that is from Guy Gantuard.
Well, I think the thing that primarily prevents Bitcoin from being used as digital cash, which is, let's not forget what Satoshi intended. That was the first line of the white paper, is the fact that people believe and that it will continue going up in value. So it's why would you spend an asset that you believe is going to be worth more in the future? And it's kind of hard to argue with that, because Bitcoin's narrative has changed massively. Very few people now see it as digital cash. I mean, as we saw from that video, it is still possible, and you're getting there are still things like innovations like the Lightning Network and what have you that make that possible. Obviously, Binance makes that possible. So it's. But I think, that's the main thing. People believe that it will be worth more in the future, so they want to hold on to it. They want to protect their wealth against inflation, which is still something we should be worried about. Inflation is not going away. We know, as almost as certainly as we know that Bitcoin will be worth more in the future, we know that the US dollar and every other fiat currency will be worth less. So you're going to spend those fiat currencies before you touch your pot of digital gold.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I was watching a CNBC report today on kind of cryptocurrencies and their market outlook. And they were saying, Bitcoin has been holding above $100,000 for the past 2 weeks, and it's been quite remarkable. And it was just looking back at how much we have come from the space, but also how traditional media is now starting to kind of correlate cryptocurrency prices as being slightly less volatile as they once were. And I think price swings is also something that probably does come in to the lack of adoption that we are seeing in terms of as an asset class.
100%.
But it seems like the industry is growing, and that's thanks to the people that are innovating the space. Michael Saylor, to name a few. Now handing over, we have a question from Drew, and he is asking you, Guy, do you think AI projects will follow the path that Bitcoin has paved to become vital in projects that influence the crypto world?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. The big question is which one, because or which ones perhaps, because this has been a big part of the AI speculation recently. There's so many, and some of them are promising to do this, that, or the other. Some of them are just putting AI, on their name to attract speculation, and it's really, really difficult to pick winners in this space. But there is a very strong case to be made for the fact that crypto is the natural currency of AI. And I think I really believe that. And I really think, in the future, when we have, and I touched on AI agents earlier, but this seems to be a natural fit, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's stable coins, whether it's some other cryptocurrency or a whole mixture of different ones. It makes sense to have an internet native money for what is an internet native technology. So we're going to see the path that AI and crypto are on. They're going to stay on that path. The only question is which projects are going to be the winners. I wish I could tell you that, but I'm still trying to figure that out for myself.
So subscribe to CoinBureau and you'll find out alongside Guy and the rest of the CoinBureau team. We had to give you guys a plug. We had to do it. Fantastic. Okay. This is a very good one. So Van the Gear has asked, what makes Bitcoin one of the most popular assets people choose over gold or any other asset?
There's a few answers.
Sorry, you go ahead. I was going to ask if you could start with your journey into discovering Bitcoin, because I think the journey of how you found Bitcoin is a very charming one. And then maybe it can be why you kind of found it interesting. Yeah,
sure. Well, I discovered Bitcoin when I went to the pub near me in 2013, I think it was, and there was a sign behind the bar of the Pembury Tavern in East London saying Bitcoin accepted here, and that was the first time I heard about it, or the first time that it consciously registered with me. So when I went and dug into it, and bear in mind, this was not all that long after the great financial crisis, and Britain had been, Britain, like everywhere else, was really badly affected by that. And there was so much talk of, the devaluation of money and the fact that banks were not these entities that could be trusted in any way. And the more I dug into Bitcoin and the more I researched about how it came about, I realized that it was this kind of holy grail in a way, in this sense of an asset that was trustless and permissionless. And the more you dig into it and the harder you realize just how hard it was to do. So there were so many experiments before that almost did it right, by really clever people, by so many of these early cypherpunks, and they all got kind of close, but then didn't quite nail it. And then Satoshi pulled it all together, came along with Bitcoin and got it right. In answer to the sort of wider question, what makes it one of the most popular assets? Gold is great. People have hoarded gold, throughout mankind's history. But if you look at it, the problems with gold are very obvious. It's very, very difficult to move it around. It's very difficult to store it. And as I said, we are in this internet native age now. So much of our lives are conducted on the internet, and it makes sense that we would want to be able to move our assets around digitally, to be able to store our wealth, on a tiny little hardware wallet and take it with us wherever we go. But most importantly of all, have sovereignty over it. If you hold your Bitcoin in your own hardware wallet, no one can take it away from you. If your security procedures are right, that is yours. Your bank can't close your account or freeze it or whatever. It can't be seized. Your Bitcoin is your Bitcoin. And as trust in institutions continues to erode, as trust in fiat currencies and the financial system continues to dwindle, I think the case for Bitcoin will only become stronger. So there's that, and hey, look, there's also the fact that its price has gone, with the odd dip here and there, it's gone up and to the right. Now that we're at all-time highs or thereabouts, pretty much every single Bitcoin holder is in profit, which is crazy when you think about it.
Yeah. And I'm curious when it comes to kind of CoinBureau and the content that you're all putting out, because I know that you very closely monitor the comments in the CoinBureau community, and you also have the CoinBureau Club. What is the sentiment against with the community right now when we see all-time high? Because I think I saw a few tweets circulating on X over the last 24 hours saying that people haven't got the same interest from retail markets, Guy's dad, for example, is the market indicator. We haven't seen the recurring text that we might have seen in November, December of last year, 2024. So what does that tell you about the market that we're at now? And are you seeing renewed momentum and interest yet? Or do you think that will only come now that we have surpassed new all-time highs?
Do you know, it's a really good question, because you would think, and I have thought many times in the past, it's like we need all-time highs in order to reignite interest in it, interest in Bitcoin and also the crypto market more generally. And I think we're a long way away from that. I think a lot of, if you want to call retail, a lot of retail investors were never that heavy in Bitcoin, because there's always this sense that like you're too late to Bitcoin. Oh, its price is, it's now over $100,000. I'm too late. I mean, that is not true. That is a myth that we try to counter all the time. But that's how people look at it. So people went further out along the risk curve. They went into alts. They went into meme coins, because some people managed to get those returns, but most people didn't. And I think that's really impacted sentiment a lot. So there's this sense that Bitcoin is too expensive. And there's this sense that, a lot of altcoins just aren't worth it. So sentiment is in a weird place. And I was talking with some of the team in the office today about what they think it would take for sentiment to pick up. Does it mean a Bitcoin price of, say, 150K? Or 200K, and to be honest, I don't know. I think we're still quite far away from people getting excited again about it, which means, of course, that we're still very early.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fantastic. Thank you for that. Now I'm going to hand back over to some more of the community questions. So we have Katia who's asking, will Bitcoin be replaced by altcoins because the technology is outdated? So it's a little bit of a controversial question. So I'm curious to hear your take.
No, Bitcoin won't be replaced by anything. Bitcoin has no competition. So, I find it very difficult to imagine another cryptocurrency being set up that could compete with it. I mean, it's interesting that they say that the technology is outdated. I mean, you could argue that, sure, Bitcoin's technology is perhaps, it doesn't let you do the same things that, say, Ethereum's technology does. But then the beauty of Bitcoin is its simplicity. Like I said earlier, it does what it's designed to do. The only aspect of Bitcoin's technology, I think, that concerns me a bit is when you start talking, is when you bring things like quantum computing into the mix. This idea that, at some point in the not too distant future, there are going to be computers out there, these quantum computers that are able to crack any encryption, Bitcoin's encryption, among them. So from a technological standpoint, that's the only thing that really concerns me about Bitcoin is how do you strengthen it against quantum computing attacks? And I know this is something that people in the Bitcoin community, Bitcoin developers, are talking about. But I do think there is a slight sense of complacency around it. And that's the only thing that worries me, is that people say, oh, well, we're 20 years away from a quantum computer with the right number of logical qubits that could crack Bitcoin's encryption. It's like, yeah, I kind of think maybe we don't know the full story. Google came out with this Willow chip a few months ago that was a lot more advanced than many people believed. I think probably quantum computing has advanced a lot further than perhaps us normies are aware of. So, Bitcoin can't afford to necessarily stand still on a technological front. But I don't think anything is, even a quantum resistant crypto, of which there are several already, supposedly. I don't think even a quantum resistant crypto can replace Bitcoin.
It's interesting. And I wonder if this is a conversation that will be going on. I know there's Bitcoin Vegas is taking place next week, and the Bitcoin team do quite a lot of conferences around. So it's quite a nice chance to plug this question from Mr. M podcast, which is asking us both, I think, happy Bitcoin Pizza Day. Are we going to see you in Bitcoin Vegas? Are you going to go to Bitcoin Vegas? Rock and roll?
I thought about it because Ben and Rob, who I do NFA Live with, are both going. And I've met Rob in person at a CoinBureau conference a few years ago. I've never met Ben, and I would dearly love to. But Dubai to Las Vegas is a very long way. So I thought I might give it a miss this year. I had such a good time at the conference in Miami in 2022. That I kind of feel I don't want to cheapen that, but I will go to a Bitcoin conference again. But yeah, Las Vegas is a little bit too far. What about you, Jess? Are you heading over there?
I will be staying here, but there will be Bitcoin MENA in December. I believe there'll be a big conference season, so that'll be very close to home, around the corner in our back garden, which will be a lot easier of a commute. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so next question we have is from Harshal Jain. And this is quite a nice one because we talked about the benefits of Bitcoin Pizza Day and really Laszlo being a front runner in using Bitcoin for its true intention. If Laszlo hadn't bought Bitcoin Pizza in 2010, do you think crypto adoption curve would have been slower or in a different nature?
That's a really good question. And it comes back to this idea, this thing that I was talking about earlier. You know, these things hinge on these tiny, what seem like insignificant events at the time and the actions of just individuals. It would have been slightly different, I think. But I think we would have ended up in probably roughly the same place. Because I think someone else, you know, there was the curiosity, and this is what's so amazing about these early Bitcoiners, like Laszlo and so many others, is that they were drawn to it, and they spent so much time and effort on it, with obviously no inclination that one day one of these things would be worth north of $100,000. Like, they could not have known that. So yeah, I think someone else would have stepped up and done something similar at some point, and Bitcoin would have proved itself, you know, on a slightly different path. But yeah, it certainly would have been, you know, the timeline might have been different or whatever. But I think, you know, Bitcoin is such an amazing piece of technology. It would have been very difficult to stop it. But certainly, I think Laszlo did a real service for the community there. Interestingly, I think if I'm right in this, actually, Laszlo is a very interesting character, because not only did he do this transaction with, you know, to buy pizza, but I think, if I remember rightly, he was actually the first person to mine Bitcoin using a GPU rather than a CPU. Which is, you know, which kind of set off this, you know, this mining arms race and stuff. So he's one of these people who's like a really key figure in Bitcoin's history.
Absolutely. And I think one of the most telling things about Laszlo, because he was a programmer as well, and then obviously moved into setting this example for a cryptocurrency marketplace with Bitcoin, is that for a lot of people that are maybe reluctant to spend their crypto and to spend their Bitcoin, you can use him as a case in point example for life does go on, but crypto is circular, and kind of keep the industry moving and pay it forward. So he's done a lot for the industry. Okay, this is a very nice question that we have next in the true pizza theme. What pizza would your crypto portfolio look like? Diverse toppings, overloaded crust, missing slices, or just plain cheese holding everything together? Obviously not financial advice, but you can use a little bit of your creative writing here to give us an indication of what kind of things you're looking at right now.
Gosh, my crypto pizza portfolio has a really solid base of Bitcoin. So it's very thick, stuffed with orange cheese. Yeah. And then the rest of it is just a mess, really. There's a lot of underperforming altcoins on there, but yeah, Bitcoin is the foundation of it. It holds it all together. And makes it taste great. So yeah, and that I feel should be probably, you know, not financial advice, but I think that's the foundation of any solid crypto portfolio should always be Bitcoin.
Fantastic. What a lovely note to end on. Guy, thank you so much for joining us on All Time High and Pizza Day. It's a big social calendar for everyone in the crypto space. So we really appreciate your time and coming on the stream. Great to have you. And we'll have to do this again soon. I hope you're having pizza for dinner.
I am actually, yeah. So, but yeah, it's been great, Jess. Thanks. It's lovely to see you again. And yeah, let's hope that next Bitcoin Pizza Day is also next all-time high day. That's a combination I could really get used to.
Let's see you next year. Amazing. Thank you so much, Guy. It was a pleasure to catch up. Thank you.
Likewise.
Fantastic. So a huge thank you to Guy there, and also to all of you that are watching for submitting the questions. They've been fantastic so far. You do have time to submit some more. We will be joined by Rachel Conlan in just a few moments. But now it's time to hand the stage to another one of our Binance angels. We have Effie from Greece telling us why Pizza Day is so important for her.
Man, no paper. Happy Bitcoin Pizza Day, Binancians. I am Effie, Binance angel from Greece. I don't just hold, I spend my crypto smart. I have used Binance Pay to buy not just a crypto book, but also a pair of sneakers. Because if I am walking on the future, I want comfy shoes and a big brain. Spending crypto feels like a superpower. No middlemen, no paperwork, just freedom in a QR code. As a Binance angel, I live for moments like this, helping people to use crypto in their real life. Happy Bitcoin Pizza Day, and remember, don't spend 10,000 Bitcoins on lunch.
Well, a huge thank you to Effie there for that lovely submission. And we actually have another submission as well from one of our Binance angels and friends from Poland. So I'm going to hand the stage over to him to share why he thinks Bitcoin Pizza Day is just so special.
Bitcoin Pizza Day. I'm Hubert from Poland. Yeah, we love pierogi, but today it's all about pizza. You know, Bitcoin Pizza Day is my favorite because it shows crypto is not about the prices or trading. It's about using it in real life, like paying for a food or coffee. Even that first pizza for 10,000 Bitcoins. Crazy, right? Speaking of real life, I've actually used Binance Pay myself. Grabbed a coffee during meetups, super smooth, no banks involved. That's the beauty of crypto. Quick, direct, no extra steps. Just scan, pay, done. So today, we are not celebrating just a pizza. We are celebrating freedom of using crypto every day. Happy Bitcoin Pizza Day, guys. Enjoy it.
Amazing. A huge thank you to Hubert there and the other angels for submitting those testimonies. It's always great to hear from all of you from all over the world. So now it's time to bring to the stage and welcome Rachel Conlan, our CMO. Rachel, great to have you here. Happy Bitcoin Pizza Day. How are you doing?
I'm good, and a big hello from Riyadh, where I'm currently getting ready to attend our event here.
Very exciting. I know there is pizza pop-ups all around the world, so there is a lot going on. I think it's a busy day for everyone in the space. Have you had a slice of pizza yet today, or are you saving it for the event this evening?
I'm going to be honest, Jessica, I think I've had pizza every day this week, but you know, that is not a hardship. I will happily accept it. I'm a huge fan, and it's a staple of my diet, as much as I probably shouldn't be admitting that.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to not take up too much of your time. We're going to jump straight in. A huge thank you to everyone that is submitting questions. We are keeping a close eye. But Rachel, let's kick things off because we've seen some incredible stories from some of our Binance angels there. So maybe we can start with asking you what the angels mean for Binance, and how do you see the role of community in particular shaping the future of this cryptocurrency ecosystem that we're all working towards?
That's such a great question, Jessica. And it's also so relevant because I'm actually just off. We have a monthly call with our kind of 500 plus angels. So I just came off that directly to come on this. And what I had shared with them during that call is that they are the heart and soul of this community. They're not just our supporters, they're the builders, they're the educators, they're the advocates. You know, they're the people that are supporting our community online and offline. And really, for anyone who's met an angel, you see their energy, you see their commitment, you see their passion about this space. They have incredible local knowledge. You know, we have 500 angels, I think, across 72 countries, if I'm getting that stat right. And they just have this genuine belief in this mission. You know, on why we are all in this wonderful industry and what sets Binance apart. And I think they are such a strong signal that the future of this ecosystem is truly community-led, no question. And it's going to be shaped by people who live and breathe the space and who onboard others and support newcomers and keep that spirit of decentralization alive. And the angels just represent that beautifully. And they're such an integral part of this broader community that we're lucky to have at Binance.
Absolutely. And we do have some great submissions of questions there. People can really ask you what's happening when it comes to Bitcoin Pizza Day and obviously Binance. But before we do, I would love to ask you about the current Bitcoin Pizza Day campaign that we are running at Binance, because it's really putting a spotlight on referring friends, family, encouraging people to take their first step into crypto. Are you able to share with all of us that are listening some of the steps on the initiative and also how important that initial introduction is to crypto?
I think we all know that the first step is everything. For me, it came from a girlfriend, one of my best friends who, worked at Visa and was an early adopter of crypto and started educating me on this space. And then I was lucky enough to learn about it personally and then enter it into it professionally. So it often comes from someone you trust. It's a friend, a colleague, a family member, a sibling, or a trusted source. Like I think Guy and CoinBureau and Nick are perfect examples of that. They're such platforms for spreading the message about crypto and about the broader blockchain space. So our Pizza Day campaign this year, look, it's hard to be original with Pizza Day because, pizza is so much at the core. But we wanted to go back to our roots a little bit and about celebrate that moment where you are introduced to Binance and to crypto for the first time. So, we're running a referral campaign and we've got a lot of educational support out there to support it. And it's really about showing, that it's easy to take that first step in. And there are the tools and platform that's available to you to go deeper into your journey with the right support and guidance from our community. So, we're really excited about that. And on top of that, I think we've over 50 online events that are happening, 27 in-person events, one of which I'm about to head to, as I mentioned, in Riyadh. So, I think the beauty about Pizza Day, it's something that's this wonderful annual milestone, that we get to celebrate Laszlo, his commitment, and now the broader community's commitment. And it's something that's really empowering. And it's also a great way to welcome newbies in. I've had so many messages from my personal friends, non-crypto today, asking like, what is Pizza Day? We keep seeing it everywhere. And you're talking about it on your socials as well. So it does spark curiosity and it does lower that barrier to entry and remind people that this is something that doesn't have to be complicated. It's, about having a pizza and getting into crypto.
Absolutely. And it actually pulls in quite nicely to one of the questions that we will ask from our community. So Muri is asking here, Pizza Day is iconic in crypto history. How has it shaped Binance's community and culture? And I know you've touched on this a little bit, but I think community and culture is so imperative for growing the industry and also being that front runner and touch base for people that are working in the space and also helping to onboard and add that personal approach. So what's your take for the question from Maury?
Yeah, it's a great question. Like Pizza Day is iconic. It captures everything that is the spirit of early crypto. It was a little bit crazy. And it was just that like inherent belief and focus on that this was, this was a bigger movement than people recognized. And I think for Binance, it's become more than just a fun or celebratory moment. It's definitely a cultural anchor for us. And it's a reminder to us and reminds our community where it all starts and reinforces our shared mission that we need to make crypto more accessible. We need to make it more useful. We need to put it into the hands of users, ensure it's part of that fabric of everyday society, and we need to celebrate that. So, every year we try to use this as that moment to spotlight our users, reward loyalty, and truly use it as a moment to bring not only our OG community together, but our new community together through creativity and community-led activations. So I personally think this really reflects who we all are in this industry, and it's rooted in this amazing moment in the past, but also helps us really look forward on how we're building for the future. And of course, while I said it's not just all about fun, it is always, a little bit playful too.
Absolutely. And it's a nice way just to get people away from looking at the charts all day and to look at something a little bit more tasty.
Well, Jessica, we were worried about that this year because I was like, will people come to our events if we do them? Like, should we be just delivering pizza to everyone's home? So we balanced it this year. We've got pizza deliveries for those that didn't want to come to the event so they can do it in front of their screens. And then for those that wanted to get a little bit of a break, they have that opportunity as well.
Amazing. And it's actually great to see online on socials, everyone that is attending these different pop-ups and events. So next question, which we'll end with, which is a little bit of a fun one. We have Raven4815, who's asking you, Rachel, what toppings would be on a Binance pizza and what part of the crypto ecosystem would each one represent? Which is a great question.
Ooh, that's a hard one. I'm going to be honest. Like, I am similar to Guy. I don't mean to repeat myself, but Bitcoin, Bitcoin was my first step in, as it was for many. So that would definitely be the base. That would be my cheesy base. And then if we look at the toppings, there would be a mix of all coins, BNB way up there. And that's something, BNB, Solana, like the usuals.
Fantastic. Amazing. So thank you so much, Rachel. Is there any final words that you have for anyone that is kind of watching the crypto community? Obviously, we are seeing today is also a very impactful day because we have hit an all-time high today too. So this has been a busy day for both pillars of Bitcoin Pizza Day and also a new all-time high for Bitcoin, which is a huge testament for the people that are in the space and working so actively to move it forward. So just before you pop off, is there anything to say to the community?
I would say whether you're at home and just communicating digitally or whether you're out and about, it's to share with your friends, share with your families, like just try and educate people on what Bitcoin Pizza Day is and share a little bit with them about what is happening in our industry, because we are still so early. While everyone on this platform is an early adopter, and you are part of this movement, the power of word, is unparalleled. And we need to make sure that we continue to share and we continue to reinforce the positive narrative around crypto and welcome more people into this industry. That's certainly something I'm hoping to do tonight. And I've done over the course of, my last couple of years in Binance. But I would say just one ask to everyone is tell at least one person in your phone book today why they should be entering into the space.
Fantastic. A final call to action. We love to hear it. Thank you so much for taking the time on what is a very busy day for the crypto markets. It was great to hear your insights. And a huge thank you to everyone that asked the questions for Rachel as well.
Thank you. And have you had your pizza yet, Jessica?
Not yet, but I will. We are going to a pop-up in Dubai and I've put one slice on hold, which is I'm very excited to have.
Okay. Well, enjoy. Bye, everyone. Have a good evening.
A huge thank you to Rachel there. Well, that is all for today's stream. A huge thank you to everyone that has submitted questions. Do make sure if you did submit questions, also make sure you're subscribed to the channel and you have filled out the B survey so you can be in with your chance of winning. We're also keeping a really close eye on the comments and we will be doing more regular live streams like this. So if you do have any suggestions, topics that you'd like us to cover, we will be checking them out. So make sure to share your insights. Your voices are absolutely heard. And a huge thank you to the angels and community for submitting the questions. It was such a pleasure to hear from all of you. Happy Bitcoin Pizza Day, happy Bitcoin all-time high day, and see you all again very soon.